Most parents think backtalk is a discipline problem. They think it's disrespect, attitude, bad manners, or a lack of boundaries. But what most parents never realize is that backtalk is usually not a power play at all. It's a nervous system reaction. When a child talks back, rolls their eyes, or snaps with words, what you're seeing is not defiance, it's overload. And the reason most responses fail is because they accidentally add fuel to that overload instead of calming it. That is why today we rate talking about the single 3-second response that shuts down backtalk without yelling, without threats, and without damaging your child's confidence. If you've ever said things like, "Don't talk to me like that," "Watch your tone," "Who do you think you're talking to?" or "Say that again and see what happens," you're not a bad parent. You're a normal one. Almost all of us were raised with those responses. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Those phrases don't teach respect. They trigger defense. And a defensive brain cannot learn anything. It can only protect itself. When a child talks back, their brain is already flooded. Stress hormones rise, language centers weaken, and impulse control drops. In that moment, logic is offline. Reasoning is offline. Empathy is offline. The child is not choosing disrespect. Their body is reacting faster than their thinking brain can catch up. That's why lectures don't work. That's why punishments escalate things. And that's why most power-based responses create more backtalk, not less. Here's the key idea that changes everything. Respect is not taught by demanding it. Respect is taught by modeling emotional regulation under pressure. Children don't learn how to speak calmly when they're upset by being forced into silence. They learn it by watching how you respond when they are dysregulated. Now here's the 3-second response. It sounds almost as simple, and that's why most parents dismiss it. When your child talks back, instead of correcting the words, instead of reacting to the tone, instead of defending yourself, you pause for one breath and say, calmly and neutrally, "Try that again." Calmly, that's it. No lecture, no threat, no explanation, just those 4 words. Try that again, calmly. This works because it does something incredibly powerful. It shifts the responsibility back to the child without shaming them. It doesn't label them as rude. It doesn't accuse them of disrespect. It doesn't escalate the power struggle. Instead, it sends a message that says, "I hear you, but I need to hear you in a regulated way," and that message lands very differently in a child's nervous system. Most parents think they need to correct content. They think the problem is what the child said, but the real problem is how activated the child is when they said it. When you respond to tone with tone, you create a feedback loop. When you respond to tone with calm, you interrupt the loop. The pause before the phrase matters just as much as the words. That one breath pause tells your child's brain that this is not a threat. It signals safety. It slows the moment just enough for their thinking brain to re-engage. And when you say, "Try that again," calmly, you're giving them a second chance without humiliation. Children respond incredibly well to second chances when they're offered without sarcasm or anger. Now, here's something important. The first few times you use this, your child may test it. They might repeat the backtalk louder. They might mock the phrase. They might roll their eyes. This doesn't mean it's not working. It means their brain is adjusting to a new pattern. Stay consistent. Calm is contagious, but only if you hold it long enough. One of the biggest mistakes parents make is adding extra words. They say, "Try that again calmly because you're being rude and I don't like that tone." The moment you add explanation, you lose the power. The child's brain hears judgment, not guidance. Keep it clean. Keep it short. Keep it neutral. Another mistake is using the phrase sarcastically. Tone matters more than words. If you say it with irritation, it becomes a challenge. If you say it calmly, it becomes an invitation. Remember, you're not trying to win the moment. You're teaching a skill. This approach works because it respects the child without removing the boundary. You're not allowing disrespectful communication. You're simply refusing to engage with dysregulation. And over time, children learn that calm communication is the only way their message gets through. What's fascinating is that this response works across ages. Toddlers, school-aged children, and even teenagers respond to it when it's used consistently. Teenagers especially are sensitive to perceived control. They push back hardest when they feel dominated. This response removes dominance from the equation and replaces it with accountability. Now let's address the fear many parents have. They worry that this approach is too soft. They worry they're letting disrespect slide. But softness and passivity are not the same thing. This is not permissive parenting. This is regulated leadership. You are setting the tone of the interaction without overpowering it. When your child successfully repeats themselves calmly, something important happens. Their brain experiences success in regulation. You should acknowledge that with a simple, neutral response like "thank you" or "I can hear you now." Not praise, not overreaction, just acknowledgement. This reinforces the behavior without turning it into a performance. If your child refuses to rephrase, that's okay too. You don't argue. You calmly say, "I'll listen when you're ready to speak calmly," and you disengage. This teaches that communication is a two-way process, not a battleground. Over time, something subtle but powerful changes. Backtalk decreases not because your child is afraid of you, but because their nervous system learns a new pathway. They learn that calm words get connection. Escalation gets distance. This is how emotional intelligence is built in real life. Many parents report something surprising when they start using this response. They notice that they themselves feel calmer. The household tension drops. Conversations feel less explosive. That's because this method protects the parent's nervous system too. It gives you a script when emotions are high, so you don't say things you regret. And here's the deeper truth. Children don't need perfect parents. They need regulated ones. Every time you respond calmly to backtalk, you are teaching your child how to handle frustration, disagreement, and power differences in a healthy way. You are giving them a skill they will use in friendships, relationships, and future workplaces. Think about the kind of adult you want your child to become. Someone who shuts down when corrected, someone who explodes when challenged, or someone who can pause, rephrase, and communicate clearly under pressure. That skill doesn't appear magically at adulthood. It's built moment by moment in interactions like these. Backtalk is not the enemy. It's information. It tells you your child is overwhelmed, frustrated, or testing their voice. When you meet that moment with calm authority instead of control, you don't just stop the behavior, you shape the brain. So the next time your child snaps, rolls their eyes, or throws words at you that sting, remember this. You don't need to win. You don't need to dominate. You don't need to escalate. You need 3 seconds of calm and 4 simple words that teach a lifetime skill. Try that again, calmly, and one day, without you even noticing when it happened, you'll hear your child pause, take a breath, and correct themselves. Not because they're scared of your reaction, but because they've learned how to regulate their own emotions. And in that quiet moment, you'll realize something important. You didn't just stop backtalk. You taught your child how to speak with confidence, respect, and control. And that lesson will stay with them long after childhood ends.